I'm Nancy Leader on the Zeta Report.
The Zetas have recently given the 7 of 10 sequence of events. The scenarios were given in November 2009 in a holographic vision, which I, Nancy, attended. But these were not given in order at that time. Per the Zetas, the sequence will be 1. A tipping Indo-Australia plate with 2. Indonesia sinking, 3. A folding Pacific allowing 4. South America to roll, 5. A tearing of the South Atlantic Rift allowing 6. Africa to roll, and 7. The floor of the Mediterranean to drop, then 8. Great quakes in Japan, followed by 9. The New Madrid adjustment, which is followed almost instantly by 10. The tearing of the North Atlantic Rift with consequent European tsunami. All this starts in Indonesia, along the border with the plate housing India, which is the break point per the Zetas. The 7 of 10 scenarios describe plate movements, and for this to occur, something has to release the deadlock, the current stalemate where the plates are locked against each other. The current lock is the Indo-Australia plate, which is being driven under the Himalayas. This is no small lock, as the height of the Himalayas attests. Per the Zetas, the tongue holding Indonesia will bend at a line crossing China, so that the South China coastline will lose 20 feet in elevation. The tip of the tongue will lose 80 feet in elevation when the big plate adjustment happens, and points in between will lose 40 feet or so. In other words, it will be a graduated elevation loss, with the tip of the tongue along Sumatra and Java getting the worst of the drop. After the squeeze on the tongue holding Indonesia is relieved by sliding the tongue under the curve of the Indo-Australia plate, there is room for the plates to the east to move west. The Mariana Trench will fold against the Philippine plate, which will tip and push under the Philippine Islands. Imagine this like cards laid out on a table, being swept up to form a deck of cards. These plates tip and fold against one another. This allows the Pacific plates to shift west, which allows South America to shift west also. This is greatly increased by the folding of the Mariana Trench and the Philippine plate. Zeta Talk. Not coincidentally, all this activity in Indonesia and the Philippines is right on the equator. Moving east along the equator is that portion of South America wanting to roll to the west. Consider South America to be like an ice cream cone, the top tilting to the west. As it does so, it rolls over the Caribbean plate, pushing it down so that islands close to South America sink. This splits the South Atlantic open, allowing the African plate to swing South Africa to the west, while dropping down toward Antarctica. This rolls the top part of the African plate to the east, so that portion of the Mediterranean floor above Algeria drops. When South America rolls almost in step with the folding Pacific, it tears the Atlantic Rift on the southern side. This allows Africa freedom to move, and it rolls too, dropping the Mediterranean floor above Algeria. Zeta Talk. Then the drama shifts to the northern hemisphere, where most land lies and most of mankind lives. Japan lies at the juncture of several plates. As the Philippine plate has folded, this puts the pressure on South Japan, which begins to have mega quakes around Mount Fiji. Then North Japan has quakes as the Pacific plate subducts, pushing under Japan. Once the folding of the Pacific has occurred, Japan has been destabilized. Zeta Talk. As the northern Pacific shifts west, subducting under Japan, this allows the North America plate to finally move, shifting Mexico to the west and ripping the New Madrid fault line. The New Madrid fault line runs up the Great Lakes and thence along the seaway. This is not just big quakes, this is a massive adjustment to the North American continent, ripping it at a diagonal. Where the North American continent is under great stress, it has not slipped because it is held in place on both sides. The Pacific side holds due to subduction friction along the San Andreas, and the Atlantic side holds due to the Atlantic Rift's reluctance to rip open. What changes this dynamic? Since the South Atlantic pulled apart when South America rolled. When the North American continent pulls to the west, this allows the North Atlantic to pull apart, creating a huge tsunami racing toward Europe. This happens almost instantly after the New Madrid adjustment, where the Mississippi bridges rip and the land to the west of the lower Mississippi drops to widen the Mississippi up to 50 miles wide. Water pours into the void of a splitting Atlantic rift and rebounds in the direction the water in the North Atlantic is already moving along the Gulf Stream. This focuses the tsunami, which will be 200 feet high when it hits the western coast of the UK, but much lower further north or south along the European coastline. Due to the tidal bore in the Bristol Channel, the tsunami is expected to rise to 300 feet within the channel, the worst impact. Pouring around the UK, the tsunami will roar through the English Channel in from the North Sea at a height of 100 feet, scouring Denmark clean and roaring across the lowlands of Germany and Sweden. This is the sequence of events for the 7 of 10 scenarios.
Until next time on the Zeta Report, this is Nancy Leader.